Thank you, Mantas. Hello, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. My name is Geoff Quinn. I am a director in the KAM Centre of Excellence in Pfizer. And there's myself, and I have two colleagues, a colleague in the States who looks after the US and Canada called Jared, and a colleague in Beirut in Lebanon, and he looks after Africa, the Middle East, France, and Germany. So we between the three of us are doing our best to promote best practice key account management within Pfizer, which is a big corporate organization. We operate in 130 countries, and we have affiliates that look after the remainder. So we have all the challenges that you guys probably have out there. I've been in the pharmaceutical industry for about 30 years now. I'm very passionate about KAM. I can go on about it at length, and I won't, hopefully, too much today. But if you want to know more about me, take a look on LinkedIn, and please feel free to connect. I'd love to hear from you.
Thanks, Geoff. It's so nice to have you here today with us. And the second guest speaker is Ramūnas. Hi, Ramūnas.
Hi everyone.
Hi. So could you please introduce yourself too? Thank you.
I'm Ramūnas Bagdonas. I'm a HR Professionals Association board member for Lithuania. So that's my one of the roles. Another one is I'm head of a HR for Telia, which is for Lithuania, which is a largest Nordic Baltic telecommunication operator in this region. Yeah, I'm in any human resource function for the last 20 years or so. I've been working not only in Lithuania, but also Poland, also Switzerland on a couple of occasions, and also I worked for various functions in HR, from manufacturing, sales and marketing, head offices, but also as a HR generalist for operations in various countries.
Thanks, Ramūnas. So as you can hear, we have two really good professionals from their own field. Geoff from key account management and Ramūnas from HR management. And I don't know how about you. I'm so eager to hear their ideas and thoughts on informal influence making, how they succeed doing things they do in their organizations and in their experience. And me myself, I'm Mantas Tvarionavicius. I will be moderating this webinar. I come from background of organizational psychology, so influence making is really an interesting topic for me. I'm a consultant and co-founder of a training company Good People that's in Lithuania, and I teach about leadership at Vilnius University Business School. And together with Ramūnas, I'm a board member of HR Association. So as you can hear, the topic is really practical. It's really about dealing with people. It's about making informal influence. And I believe that you all are really experienced in your own fields, and you have your own practices that work more or less in your situations. So let me offer you an option to share your experience, and please use chat of this webinar of sharing your experience. We're going to go through some questions in a while, and you may want to answer your these questions on chat, or just share your experience. What's really working in your field in terms of informal influence making when you don't have direct authority over other people or groups of people? So what's really working? What's your best practice? So if you could please share these ideas in chat, it would be like double or triple value for all of us. So we could learn from not only from Geoff and Ramūnas, no doubt, but also from each other. So thank you in advance for doing that. And please use the Q&A option for asking questions for our participants, Geoff and Ramūnas. So Q&A for asking questions and chat for sharing your experience. That would be the idea. And as we are joining the event of two associations, so it would be really nice to hear a few words about both associations, I believe. So Geoff, if you could please share some main things about Association of Key Account Management, please.
Certainly, Mantas, and I'll be very brief, guys, because I know we have a short period of time. So what I'd like to highlight, first of all, top right-hand corner, a4kam.org. If you haven't been there, please go to our website. There's a lot of information. I'm a board member. I forgot to say that in the introduction, but so I'm biased. But it's a great opportunity to gather information, find information, and to make connections. So please go and have a look at our website. We are doing our best to communicate with business, academia, worldwide, to gather and share understanding of best practice key account management. So I don't really want to say too much, Mantas, apart from please look at the screen, see what it says, go to our website, and if you have any questions about it, contact us. We will come back to you and help you if we can.
Thanks, Geoff. It was really short and nice, and it was really a call to action thing. Thank you. And another association, that's Association of HR Professionals. So Ramūnas, as one of co-founders of this association, could you please share some main things about it? Thanks.
Yeah, we found the HR Professionals Association in Lithuania. Was it like 15 years ago or so? Maybe even a few years earlier. And the objective of that was to help HR professionals to grow and develop. That was the main one, and to spread human resources as a function idea of it, and to educate also the line managers on what HR can give you, provide you. And I think we've been rather successful in that, growing together with the country, with the businesses, and educating a lot of HR professionals for Lithuania. And lately we've been becoming active also of European and worldwide HR associations members, and sharing our practices, as well as absorbing the best the Europe and world has to offer to us.
Thanks, Ramūnas. That was also really quick and informative. So we have experts from two fields, from key account management and from HR management. And both of these fields share at least one thing in common. From time to time, people who work in KM or HRM need to influence other people while having no direct subordination. And well, we could also say it's a huge demand for informal influence in these both fields. And it's quite a rare occasion when people from these areas sit together and share their experience, how they do these things, as we were talking from the beginning. So let's not waste any more time for talks and go directly to the first question. And the first question for today's conversation is, what are the main roles of HR and KAM in organizations? Geoff, could we start with KAM? What is the main role shortly?
Yes, that's a massive question. So what's the main role of a key account manager or key account management? And I want to separate the two. So the key role of key account management is to form a long-term strategic relationship with and between us and significant, large, complex healthcare organizations, so that we can make sure that patients have access and prescribers have access to the medicines that they want to use. So within that, there is so much. We're looking for key account managers to understand their account, to almost become the inside outsider, and to create a relationship with someone or a group of people within the account to identify the outside insider, if that makes sense. And then within that relationship and gathering that insight, to create a plan that suits and fits our organization, but is also suiting and fitting the account. And then what we need the key account manager and the key account management process to do is to bring that all together to elevate this relationship so that both sides and the account's customer, in our case, that's often a patient, are all benefiting or gaining what they want, or achieving what they want to achieve. And I'll say it, it's very much in three areas. So there's something about productivity. First of all, there's something about what does a hospital, for instance, want to achieve? Is it to reduce length of stays, improve efficiencies? Is it to do something about its cost base? Or is it something to do about its reputation, compliance, all these kinds of things? That's the first thing. The second thing is we want to improve our relationships on both sides so that we can work together more effectively. And the third thing is about that, I said it once, but I'll say it again, reputation. And how can we develop everybody's reputation so that the patient experience, in our case, improves for the account and for Pfizer.
Okay, thanks, Geoff. I can hear that relationship is crucial, and looking for all parties to benefit also is key important. Thank you. Ramūnas, the same question for you as coming from HR field. So what's the main role, or what are the main roles of HR in organization, in your experience?
Thank you. I think one of the ways, many ways to describe HR is a rather complex thing, but one of the ways I like to present it, it's using Dave Ulrich model, and to me that's kind of a quick way to give an overview. And it has four pillars. One being what typically everyone who has ever worked for a company at least one day kind of had a chance to experience it. It's all the administrative stuff HR provides to the employees and organization, your payroll, time attendance, and whatnot. But that's a minimal part of what is typically done in the organization. Moving on, a second pillar is being an employee champion. Means that hearing what employees have to say, listening how they feel, and I mean, good example these days is pandemics. A lot of people kind of experiencing for the first time ever new ways of working remotely, etc. And obviously it's HR role to help check how the people feel. It's HR role to hear where we need to help and support. And I guess what a lot of HR colleagues are doing lately, launching various support programs for our employees, either on mental health or how to be efficient and productive, and you name it. Third role is being a change agent. I think whatever organization you ask, and even more so critical these days, organizations are always in change. Being it now, we having much fewer opportunities like to sell our products in shops, and a huge demand for digital because of the lockdowns, and how do you do that, and how do you structure the change communication? How do you help existing employees to get the new skill sets required? How do you help managers to find new ways how to approach people, motivate them, not to allow them to drop the ball, but to carry on and to service the customers in a new ways, etc. And a fourth pillar is strategic partner. That's where HR role is critical in understanding the business needs and identifying HR implications which are associated with that. Examples could be if your company is working like locally or regionally, you want to expand. Obviously, the first questions: do you have skills and competencies to work in another continent? And do you have that first key account manager to be sent abroad or overseas, to set up your operations and to present your company and products and whatnot, and so on and so forth. And I think lately that's becoming definitely a very crucial HR function, because you are as successful as you're able to catch those changing business needs and to offer help, support, and solutions to respond to those. So those would be four: administrative expert, employee champion, change agent, and strategic partner.
Okay, thanks, Ramūnas, for broadening up the understanding of HR for some of us. Maybe as there's a stereotype that HR is responsible for job contracts and termination stuff, but not only for this. This is one pillar only. So many other things.
And a very small one.
yeah, including the fourth pillar that you mentioned, strategic partnership. So my next question for both panelists is about strategic partnership, how to establish your role, how to move from tactical to strategic partnership in organization. Geoff, I'm turning to you. What's your experience? How to move from tactical to strategic partnership?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I think the first thing that comes to mind for me when I see this question or a question like this, because there are two very important words in there. There's the tactical and the strategic. And often in pharmaceuticals anyway, and I suspect this is the same in most industries, there's a focus on the tactical implementation of key account management. So that's all about alluding to what you asked me earlier. That's all about leading and owning an account planning process, engaging an account team and engaging the customer, coordinating value propositions, development and delivery, communicating the plan, all these kinds of things internally and externally. But in our business, the strategic side of key account management is often not focused on so much. So for me, that's a big opportunity for all of us. How do we place our key account management within the organization and strategically? So what about the enabling functions? We can develop our key account managers to be the best in the world, but unless we have a supportive function all around them, they're going to fail and they're going to be very, very frustrated. So how do we move this from tactical to strategic? It's almost let's stop pushing the operational side for a moment and think about the strategic side. How do we embed the definition of key account management clearly right across our organization so that everybody understands? And Ramūnas, one thing that this has made me think about, something you said earlier has made me think about, is are we as key account management leaders talking to our HR colleagues to say, look, we need your help to do this when you're recruiting? Are you thinking about these things? So in answer to the question, how do we engage the broader organization internally first to understand and to join in key account management as part of the whole marketing mix? That's a really, really important message that I want to get through here. And I don't know if I've gone off track a little bit there, Mantas, but hopefully, Ramūnas, you can pick up on that as well when you comment.
Yeah, thanks, Geoff. Ramūnas?
It definitely resonates to me as well, because I think historically, a lot of HR functions being set up, being administrative, tactical, making sure policies are implemented and working, and it is still the case today. Has to be properly done. However, when we think value added, that definitely does not come from those activities. We definitely come much more from strategic partnerships, from understanding employee needs, from change management, and I think that's where the learning has to happen and the direction has to be. I think I'm always, at least in HR, see the people who made it more kind of successful towards that direction, at least in my judgment. I mean, they are always kind of thinking business first, understanding the business. So what is our product lines? What we are selling? What channels we are using? What marketing mix is in place? And what are the production capabilities if you're in a production environment? And then derive the ideas and source HR ideas on how to support it from those business needs, but not vice versa. I think HR folks I tend to see quite often, are very kind of keen to learn, and that's great, and reading things from Harvard Business Review to going on Coursera courses and you name it. However, I think the true understanding of what you have to deliver and how you have to focus your efforts to support the business growth, organizational capabilities, comes from the understanding the business, not having abundance of your own ideas what you can do as HR professional. Even though they sound fun, even though they are great, but the relevance of those is what matters at the end, and how much they match the direction of the company. And for that, we can talk a bit later. You need a bit of a different skill set than just being a good in tactical things.
Thanks,
and just to pick up on that, Ramūnas, it's definitely the case in pharmaceuticals, and I'm sure you've seen this, but I don't know what it's like more generally. But most of, and I'm going to say more than 95% of key account managers in the pharmaceutical business have come from sales. And we would love to broaden that to be to create a desire for marketers, for finance specialists, for medics, for all other functions to want to be key account managers. We'd love to increase our gene pool, if you like. And that's another thing I think we as organizations need to open our mind to. And Ramūnas, I don't know if that's something that you're being asked to do more. Sounds like you are.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. So yeah, thanks for your ideas. I would like just to pick up a few ideas and debrief a bit. So I can hear that it's important to show what you can, to show the definition of your role, to show what value you can bring to organization within your role if you want to establish your role as strategic partner. Another part I'm picking up is thinking yourself, having an attitude that business comes first, not your function, but the business. So these are two main ideas I just got and wanted to draw some lines on. So let's move to the third question that is really practical and really one of the main questions of today's. So how do we use power of informal influence making in the problems that we solve, both ad hoc and strategic problems? Geoff, could we start with your practice, with your experience? What kind of influence do you use in your field and your colleagues use that are really helpful?
3 words for me answer this one, and we've all heard them before, but the question I'd ask everybody is, do we practice it? So voice of customer. Okay, so with regard to informal influencing, if I stand up in front of a group of people within Pfizer and say, I think we should do this, they are instantly thinking, that's Geoff's opinion. So straight away, they're whether they love me or don't, they're tearing me apart in their mind. If I bring Mantas into the room and say, here's an expert in this area, and he has some thoughts, they are more likely to be receptive to those messages because it's his area of expertise, etc., etc. So voice of customer is really, really important in this informal influence making. And so where I've seen excellence in the area of persuasive coming togethers of organizations is key account managers who facilitate that kind of activity. So either bringing customers and account members into their organization to sit down with leaders at all levels, or taking their own senior leaders and leaders to the organization and creating time to discuss honestly and openly, because very quickly in these kinds of scenarios, people quickly share the reality. And that's when the value comes through and the informal influencing takes place. That would be my voice of customer.
Okay, 3 words as promised. Thanks, Geoff. Ramūnas, what's your experience in this
I think I think when you invited me to this event, I think I was kind of fascinated. The more I was thinking, the more I found things being similar between the two functions. I never thought about it before, and I think that would how exactly I would respond to it, and maybe then examples would obviously be different. But voice of a customer or listening to your customer, and in HR case, it's not necessarily you talk to the ultimate customer of your company's products or service, the one who uses your company products or services, but your internal client, and understanding what his or her needs are, and things like if you talk to the salespeople, you have to understand what we are measured on, volume of sales, customer satisfaction. If you talk to CFO and his management team as HR professional, need to understand what's on their mind. Is it like a profit, cash flow, and financing of the revenue streams and etc. So without that, I don't think you can move on. And I think here, whenever I was kind of also interested in understanding what makes a good key account person, a good salesperson, you think of influencing is about how you talk. But for me, the key skill is here not your ability to talk, but your ability to listen and understand. And that's the starting point. Only by having that in place, you are able to pick from your portfolio of services the right ones and to construct the right mix for your ultimate customer. And in telco, it's definitely true, because if you understand what the customer need is, you're able to offer a great solution for him or her. And HR professionals is exactly that way. To my previous point, that you shouldn't take from your portfolio and offer something what you believe is fun, but by listening in, understanding what the need is, only then take a suggestion and take an offer of your product. So listening on top of understanding of your customer.
And Ramūnas, just to jump on that, I heard a super comment recently, and it was 25 years ago in business, it was all about asking the right questions, whereas today in business, it's all about listening to the answers from your questions. Very different. It's a real turn in business approach.
Yeah, and I think building on that, I think it's interesting things also on the leadership associated with that. I think whereas like 20 years ago, especially in the Anglo-Saxon part of the world, which I guess Europe is kind of associating to itself at large, it's more the extroversion is a good leadership style and kind of how you talk, how you present. I think lately, I think it turns much into how well you're able to hear and understand and only then express your view on and make an offerings. So that's also kind of nice to see how it's changing and requires different skill set.
Okay, thanks. It's very interesting to listen to you and to hear these things as stepping into your client's shoes and talk their language if you want to be more convincing, etc. Let me challenge you a bit, okay? And let me draw to an example that Geoff did a few moments ago when you promised to bring me in and present me as an expert of some field, okay? So using influence of authorities among main influence means, as per Robert Cialdini, for example, but this is not so rational. I mean, you could also deliver some facts and statistics and data and key performance indicators whatsoever yourself, but you bring an expert. So my challenge for you is, aren't people that we are influencing rational, or are they emotional? Which means of influence should we use, rational or emotive?
Do you know, it's a subjective immediate response to that is that the Volkswagen Audi group have a broad range of cars, but everybody aspires to have the Audi. Whereas there's nothing wrong with the Skoda. It's a great car, but everyone wants the Audi. So we are irrational in our thinking occasionally. Someone come if I in that scenario have rock solid data and put it up on the screen, it's still data that Geoff is putting forward. Whereas Mantas, you could come in with completely made up numbers, and they would believe you.
I wouldn't do that, Geoff. I wouldn't do that. I would take your data. Okay, Ramūnas, what do you think? Are we rational or emotional creatures?
I think we are emotional and we try to be rational. I think that's been my experience. But I think in HR profession, I think when you take what typically people studied, they studied some humanitarian sciences, not necessarily mechanics, electronics, and stuff. So I think we are working in our function more to help our professionals to drive data decisions based on data, to use analytics and to kind of incorporate a bigger and larger portfolio of tools which would help you to make decisions on a rational basis. However, I believe when it comes to the next stage, when you go and present, you sell, hopefully your constructs are based on data and analytics. However, when all your skill sets and who you are, how people kind of saw you before, and anything and everything works as long as you can use it for the purpose of selling your idea. So I don't think it's as easy, and I think situations are different, but both are needed to be mastered. I believe what's dangerous when people kind of only try to sell it based on no factual data, no analysis behind it, and then you can really drive organizations into the wrong direction.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for responding to my challenge. Let's move to the next question, and it's also practical. And here it is. How, in your experience, is best to get sponsorship of top management in your role? Geoff?
Interesting question, isn't it? There's lots of research about TMI, top management involvement in key account management, but it really is required to ensure that there's a strategic placement of KAM firstly in the mix, and then also ensure that there's authority to progress in the operational level. I'm a man of few words, so I'll go for one word here, and that is value. So we're all looking for value. Top managers in particular are looking for the so what? What's the value? So we really need to make sure that that there are value metrics associated to the key account management process. In other words, there's an impact on revenues, there's an impact on relationships, there's an impact on reputation, these kinds of things, in order, in my personal opinion and experiences, to get top management sponsorship. I'll stop there because Ramūnas, you've probably got plenty to say on this topic as well.
Thanks, Geoff.
No, absolutely same struggles, and I think is exactly the same answers. I think it's about understanding what the CEO and a senior management team is worried about those days, and then your proposal has to correspond and help them to manage the business. I mean, and so that if you should be coming with the ideas and proposals which are helping them to drive a business forward, being it value created, being it financial performance, being it I don't know, customer satisfaction, technical innovation, you name it. But I think when HR professionals come in and present, it's and I happen to have some time ago in my career was presenting to some very number-driven senior executive my proposal on some strategic ideas going forward coming from HR, and then after a few slides he told me, I haven't seen a single number, Ramūnas, yet. And that kind of immediately rang a bell to me. I'm not talking his language. I mean, he is looking for what impact, financial impact would make that. Me saying, well, we will decrease employee turnover. Yeah, okay, but by how many? By 1 percentage point. Okay, so how much that 1 percentage point gonna be of value for my organization in terms of savings, in terms of sales, in terms of customer satisfaction? And the minute you're able to translate your proposal into the numbers which are relevant to senior executive, I think that minute you gain the sponsorship for them, well, at least on HR matters, and then it's much easier for them to sign on what we understand we are signing on, as opposed to if it's just a very descriptive improvement idea of any kind.
Okay, thanks. I can hear one thing that is repeating again and again today. It's about stepping into your partner shoes and talk their language, understand what they treat as value, and then try to translate your thoughts and your words into that. Okay, these are great ideas. Thank you. And let me remind the participants that it would be really great if you could also share your experience in chat. What is helpful in your experience, how to influence top management, for example, or some other groups of people that you tend to influence. And we're moving to the very last question, and then we're going to have a few moments to answer some questions that are already asked in Q&A part. And the last question is the following: how to influence top management. You mentioned the stepping into, well, actually I mentioned this, stepping into their shoes, talking language of value, but do we have any other means of influencing top management?
Yeah, I'll jump in and I'll say, from a practical point of view, it's really, really important to use networks, to use other sources that you've worked with before, for instance, that can give positive recommendations and honesty, so all that kind of thing. But I'd also like to say that in the whole influence piece, top managers, they don't want to be asked questions and they want to be, to the point Ramūnas was making, they want to be told and they want to say yes or no. And I think I've seen many key account managers stand up in front of senior leaders and top managers and start to interview them. That's not what they're interested in. To Ramūnas's point, they're interested in, what do you want me to do? What returns it going to give me? And the other thing that I'd add in there, what is the risk? That's a really, really important thing to consider. Because from a top manager's point of view, I'm always thinking about, if I say yes to this, am I exposing myself? I don't want to be associated with something that isn't positive. And so from that human protective point of view, I think we've got to contemplate hard how we can make that person look good, as well as develop the business, etc., etc., etc. So I'm just going to stop there, because Ramūnas, you can probably add a lot here as well.
Yeah, I think one of the things I was reflecting now is that a great way also to influence your senior leaders is also offering some benchmarks, because by default this crowd is typically a competitive bunch of people, and somehow they are keen to be better, faster, more of whatever, and when you're able to kind of take out your company data, let's say, I know in HR area, being employee turnover, employee engagement, etc., put it in a light of the benchmarks of a similar industry, country or region, you are much more likely to get their attention for the discussion and ultimately for them listening into what you have to propose in the given area, and that's, I guess both of us kind of speaking on behalf of associations. I think typically associations is a great source of that info, being it in the key accounts area, being it in a HR domain. So that could be one very practical and simple way to get an attention as a starting point from your senior leaders.
Hey, thanks, Ramūnas. Thanks, Geoff. And I think it would be great to pick up some questions that we already have in our Q&A part. And let me start with Diana's question. Thanks, Diana, for asking. Is top management naturally cautious, afraid of falling off the top of the tree? This is quite similar to what Geoff referred as being exposed to some risks. So revolutionary ideas are generally unwelcome. What do you do with revolutionary ideas? Or, I don't know, do you do your revolutionary ideas in your organizations? Of course you do. Maybe you make them not revolutionary or evolutionary. What do you do? What's your experience?
I think it's fair to say that the senior leaders are cautious bunch of people, because there's a lot to lose, and not necessarily for them personally, but if you take wrong decisions, the impact on your company, on a stock price or the value of the company can be tremendous, and I think that's kind of a natural and have to be taken into consideration. And for me, that's something we should not underestimate. And I guess revolutionary ideas in a big corporate world is something which being measured a lot of time. You say you measure 9 times before you cut. So I think that is a valid for the big corporates, and I think when you see at least lately the trend in among young graduates that we are preferring to join the startups, smaller companies, go after the big, even small, but the big idea is exactly for the reasons that those are much more risk hungry, and the risk appetite there is much bigger. And obviously, if you fail, the consequences are much smaller at the same time. So I think that's something to be understood and taken into consideration. And in a way, it's inevitable because the stakes are just too high.
I don't think I can add any more to that. Said perfectly. Thank you, Ramūnas.
Okay, thanks. And we have one more question in our Q&A part. I don't know if you, Geoff and Ramūnas, can you see the question?
Yeah. So I'll take that one if you like, Mantas.
Okay,
so
thanks, Geoff.
The question is, I understand that KAM is holistic as a strategy, but if you choose only one skill set for key account managers, would you take product knowledge, or would you take account understanding, or are there any others? So Jaiwu, thank you for the question. It's an interesting one. For me, if it were me, I would probably go 80%. If you had to force me to take two things, I'd go 80% having the ability to think strategically. So therefore, they need to understand the account and they need to understand their own organization. So that would be the 80% that for me. The 20% would be the bit about their own products. So a key account manager doesn't need to know their own products inside out, but they need to know who in their organization does, so that when that conversation arises, they can bring that individual into the conversation or the room and make it happen. The most important thing from the key account manager's point of view is understanding their own and the account organizations, so that they can make things happen. They are the conductor. They are not necessarily the violin player. That would be my answer to that. I mean, Ramūnas, have you had anything else to add?
No, I think the key account guys are, I especially like what you said, I think its ability to source the resources from within the organization and really picking the right ones. I think that's one of the most essential skills, especially if you are key account for the complex product or service. Definitely valid for telco, complex telco services.
Okay, thanks for the answer. And let's move to another question. We have anonymous attendee asking a question: how these both functions, KAM and HRM, should build their position in a way to be influential. What would be your advice, steps? You mentioned quite many things during the conversation today. Anything else to add to this point, Geoff, Ramūnas?
I'll put my hand up. So thank you, anonymous, for your question. I'll put my hand up and say the first thing. So how could we build? First thing is let's talk internally more effectively. So when I was asked to join this WebEx and give some thoughts, after looking at the questions and thinking about it, I thought, my goodness, I don't spend any time with global HR colleagues talking about key account management. Even if I just spent an hour doing that, we would be so much the better for it. I understanding what their needs are and supporting them, and they understanding where I'm coming from. So first thing, think about it. You as a key account manager, if you're out there, you're a change agent. So it's on you guys to make things happen. It's on us. And we need to probably think about, rather than noting things need to change, what are we going to do about it? Ramūnas, any other comments?
Very similar line of thought, I must say. I think that kind of doing if you're a HR professional, and one of the ways to establish the influence within the organization is also a bit of internal PR. So that you're not only showing up and talking about things when you need to get some decision, but that you kind of have your plan in place on. So what kind of messages do you want to share within the organization, being it senior stakeholders or all organization, all employees on a regular basis, and these are not necessarily HR is not necessarily a function where everyone is kind of very knowledgeable, even though I believe everyone has an opinion about it, similar to marketing. But I think that's something which needs to be happening on a regular basis. I think another thing is HR professionals not always are very outspoken by nature, and I think this kind of learning from the guys, sales, key account to me is also a great example, which are typically vocal of what and how we do things, at least inside of the organizations, visible in the organization. I think it's a lot of learning opportunities also to take and incorporate into your daily routines.
Okay, thanks for your insights. I still think that we have plenty of things to learn from each other, both these functions and many, many more. Let me pick up another question that comes from Hubert. Thanks for asking this question. It's about timing. Let me read it quickly. In my experience with dealing with top management, also timing plays an important role. A good idea pitched at the wrong time diminishes its chance of success. Could you comment on how to relate the timing factor in influencing opportunities?
I can start. I think it's important, and I think, in the different times, you have to come with different solutions and proposals, especially in HR domain. I think lately, in Lithuania, we've been announced the lockdown of the shops on Wednesday, and obviously thinking of that, you don't come up with some other ideas or some great, leadership development program when suddenly someone is locking down your shop. So I think time is of the relevance here, and you have to be relevant towards the sentiment which is in the organization or in the function at the given point in time, and that your idea would be resonating at that given point in time with what organizations' pain points are or opportunities are. I mean, depending on the situation, you have to pick one of it too. But otherwise, you sound like it's not here, not today, and maybe I postpone your idea. And if your idea is being postponed to be reviewed, means someone else gonna hijack the time, and someone else's idea might be put forward. So I think that's a very relevant reflection on the timing.
Okay, thanks, Geoff. Anything else to add from your side?
No, I think it's a really good point. Timing is everything.
Okay, thanks much, and thanks for raising up this question. Let me pick up one more question. I think we still have like 10 more minutes to go. Question comes from Wagner. Thanks for asking this question. Let me read it quickly. Influence management is crucial in managing a key account and should be an essential skill for an account manager, but shouldn't it also be the skill experienced by the organization as a whole? What do you think, Geoff?
Yeah, I think, Wagner, thank you for that. It's a fantastic point, isn't it? It's one of the most crucial skills in business, really, isn't it? Because most effective business people thrive and shine because of people around them doing things. So the best and the most effective people have the most amazing ability to create that positive environment where everybody joins in, and that's down to their personal influencing skills. So I think you're right. It is a really, really important skill. How do we promote it as so important within an organization? In my mind, I'm thinking that should be quite easy, shouldn't it? But maybe it's something we just haven't done. I don't know. Let's do something about it.
Okay, Ramūnas, what do you think about influence management as a skill in the whole organization?
I fully support what Geoff was saying, and I think the only addition to that is I think that's also a great skill to be included into any kind of leadership competency book any organization has or wants to have, and then consequently into the leadership training, because that's, to me, anyone who is a leader of either people or product, you have to have it. Otherwise, it's very difficult to be successful in the organization. So that's something to be also practiced and taught in the organizations.
And a quick question, Mantas, Ramūnas, I don't know if you know, I don't actually know this, but is informal influencing easy to teach, or is it just something that you're born with, a bit like that strategic thinking and executive presence, all those kinds of things?
Well, if you ask me, my personal opinion is that it is teachable. I mean, we have our data that we inherit. That's like in any, I don't know, sports. Okay, if I'm like 6 feet high, it's much easier for me to play basketball, etc. But if I don't learn how to do that, I'm a poor player. So this is more or less the same with social skills, I believe. So the next question that comes from Dominikas is very, very similar to what you are raising up, Geoff. I would like to transfer this question to Ramūnas first. Do organizations invest in development of such skills that we're talking today?
Let me answer it. Yeah, I think the good ones do. I think the good ones do, and if you want to be a good one, you have to do that. Otherwise, I think a lot of those skills, are teachable, and also various ways to teach it, and not necessarily going courses. But I think any bigger organization have more. I know key account managers, HR professionals, and salespeople, you name it, and there are always an opportunities to set up in informal ways of sharing knowledge, of coaching, of mentoring by senior people to the junior ones. And so for me, that's something, which we have to explore within the organizations. That's the value organizations create to us as individuals, as employees, because I think in today's modern organization, it's not that me coming to give to organization as an employee. I also come to give, but also come to take. So I think by setting those, by setting environment where you can learn those skills, the very different ways that can happen, you really start to appreciate organization you work, and your association with that organization tends to be longer.
Okay, Geoff, what do you think? Do good organizations invest in such type of skills?
Absolutely, I agree with Ramūnas. So our organisation, for instance, we spend a huge amount of money in providing development opportunities. What individuals need to do, all of us. So I'm pushing it back onto our shoulders, guys. We need to look inside our own organizations to see what's possible. And there are often programs, developmental opportunities, or even funding available to go outside if your organization doesn't provide it. And if your organization doesn't provide it or doesn't offer funding, build a case and take it to your manager. So there's always a way of doing it. And now that we've all agreed that influencing is quite important, if we're not very good at it and it's something we want to develop, let's go and do something about that as well.
Okay, thanks for encouragement and call to action. Actually, it's very, very important also from my experience to show initiative and to feel responsible for your own development. Let's pick up a tough question for this moment. That comes from Mary. Thanks for asking this question. Being a change agent is a long-term mission, and some of top management eyes are on short-term. What would be your recommendations to build the bridge, to broaden their perspectives, to open their eyes? Geoff, Ramūnas, what do you think?
I'll jump in first, if you like. Thank you, Mary Paul. The interesting thing about any expectation from a senior leader is a quick win. How many times have we been in the room when someone says, "What are the quick wins?" If we're smart enough before we go into the room, we've already had those conversations about, going back to what Ramūnas said earlier, what do the audience, what are they looking for? So what are they looking for in the short term? What are they looking for in the long term? I personally think we really need to be prepared for that kind of thing. We need to have visionary thinking, and we need to have short-term operational thinking. So very important to be prepared for that. Everyone's going to expect it. Now, and what I often hear is, oh, key account management, that's about long-term return. Well, no one's willing to wait. So the realistic thing is it's about short-term interaction. It might not be you get a massive financial return in the short term, but what are the milestones that you are aiming for? What can you achieve in the short term that leads to the long term? That to me is what comes to mind when I'm asked that kind of question. Ramūnas, any of your thoughts?
Similar thoughts. And it's a difficult question, and I think one additional dimension comes to my mind. That if organization is like very much quarterly return driven, for example, I think when the organization gets tired quite quickly, by just jumping from one to another one, and then the people start to ask a question, so what's your purpose? What is the longer term vision of this place? And I think when this a longer term thinking helps to answer those questions. Obviously, short term things are not going to disappear, and I believe they are also necessary. But at least by establishing in parallel a longer term thinking, you're able to provide a longer term view and kind of attachment to the people. And I think a lot of organizations these days are suffering from the people staying short tenures with them. So that's a way to prolong that. And if people are hooked onto 5-year vision or plan, or 10-year, I think that's what a lot of organizations desire. So to me, that's also finding a why should it be long-term thing, and if you're able to find those answers, and when those are kind of resonate with your employees, I think then you're on a good path.
Okay, thanks for your thoughts. Let's pick up the last question, and I know that we have some more questions that remain unanswered, so maybe we could later on just have written answers, type the answer into an answer box for them. But the last question I'd like to ask, and maybe to broaden up it a bit, that comes from Diana. She asks, what's in it for key account manager to be a change agent? I would like to add also HR manager in this question. What's in it for a person in organization to start acting as a change agent? It's risky. It's risky. Should we take these risks? What do you think?
For me, I remember 30 years ago in the pharmaceutical industry, everybody used to say, "Oh, you don't want to be a training manager. You don't want to go into training. That's a dead end corridor. It's going nowhere." And so when I hear a question like this, for me, in my mind, I hear, "You don't want to go into key account management. It's a dead end corridor." So my response to it is, key account management is a real opportunity to get to understand your own organization better than any other job you're probably going to, or any other opportunity job wise in your own company, because you have to do it. It's part of your role. You're allowed to do it. So from that point of view, you're gaining great experience of understanding your own account. You're also getting the opportunity to go to your suppliers and stick your nose into every business operational area without anybody saying you can't do it. So it's a great opportunity to understand your customers, and therefore to improve your business skill, your business prowess. Now, you've got to be a change agent. That's the tough bit, because you're going to take ideas back to your own company, and people are going to scratch their heads and say, "No, we don't do that." And then that's our responsibility to say, "No, we don't do that. You're right. And I understand why we don't do it. But could we discuss how we might do it if there were benefits for everyone?" So it's also developing personal skills and capabilities, influencing, for instance, getting back to that, to think more broadly about the business, about what can be done. So I think there's so many positives. And you mustn't think of these opportunities as going down that corridor. Think about them going down that corridor, but there's loads of doors on the way down that you can go through into lots of other roles and opportunities on the way. I know I'm a bit of a positive thinker on this one, but
thanks, Geoff. Thanks, Geoff, for being so positive thinker. We need we need so many positive ideas and thoughts these days. Ramūnas, what do you think about being a change agent? Is it worth the risk?
I think so, because I think in today's kind of a changing world, almost on a daily basis, we hear something new. I mean, being change agent means you are on top of the things, you are relevant for what is happening today. You are not relevant for what has happened yesterday, but you're relevant for what is happening today and what might happen tomorrow. So that's, to me, a little bit of the investment into myself, into my, me staying ahead of the game, being professional, and kind of, employability of mine. If I'm onto that path is a very different one, as opposed to if I'm always kind of on the safe and the protective side. So to me, it's a huge benefit for my own growth and development and moving forward within the organization. And I also believe organizations, when you look any change management, methodology. So what we say, what we are looking for whenever the change is to happen, for those change advocates, the pioneers, etc. So if you are one of them, then yet again, you're going to be invited to explore and experience something which is new, which is kind of interesting, and what others might get after a year or two to see and taste in their professional careers. So yet another element why that could be good for you.
Thanks, Ramūnas, for your thoughts on this. Me as a trainer, I especially love hearing these ideas about developing yourself while taking some risky paths. I mean, when we talk about public speaking, myself, I don't know any other way how to learn speaking publicly as going and speaking publicly, and it's very much the same with influence making. So let us take this last idea as the final debrief of our webinar, and wish each other many risky paths so we can learn how to influence better and better each and every day. I know that Geoff wants to tell a few words about upcoming event. We're gonna do that in a moment, and let me thank you each and everyone so much for joining us today. Thanks, Ramūnas, a lot, and Geoff a lot for joining us today as speakers. It was really a pleasure of mine to moderate this event, and thank you for trusting me to do that. So thank you, and Geoff, the final word is yours.
Thank you, Mantas. Thank you, Ramūnas. Guys, I just want to highlight some upcoming future 2021. My goodness, it's coming very soon. Some webinars that we have organized in January and February. How to get a diploma in key account management. We have AKAM have put together an opportunity, if you are looking for it, to professionalize your key account management status. If you want to come and hear about that, how you can engage, what it involves from your commitment, and how much it will cost, all the real information, the nitty-gritty that you need to have. Come along and join us and we'll tell you all about that. Diana will share that and take any questions so you understand. And in February, we're talking about how can we align our objectives with procurement, and Colin will give us some time to share his expertise. Pop these in your diary, please, please, please. We would love to have you on board. Can I just second what Mantas said? If you're having a break over the Christmas period and the New Year period, stay safe, have a great time, and thank you very much from all of us.